Ladies and gentlemen, to begin our event today, we would like to see the profile video of Faculty of Economics, Universitas Negeri Malang.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Negeri Malang. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Negeri Malang adalah salah satu dari 8 fakultas yang dimiliki oleh Universitas Negeri Malang. Visi dari Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Negeri Malang adalah menjadi fakultas ekonomi dan bisnis yang unggul dan menjadi rujukan baik di bidang pendidikan maupun di bidang ilmu ekonomi. Visi tersebut tidak saja sifatnya nasional tetapi juga internasional, sehingga ini akan mendukung keinginan dari universitas yang ingin menjadi universitas berkualitas di tingkat dunia. Beberapa hal yang dilakukan oleh Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis adalah student exchange. Kami telah melakukan berbagai upaya untuk pertukaran mahasiswa, tidak saja pertukaran mahasiswa di dalam negeri tetapi juga pertukaran mahasiswa dengan luar negeri.
Hello, my name is Mahmoud Halimov. I'm from Tajikistan. I'm student Master of Accounting in State University of Malang in Faculty of Economy and Business.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the international webinar organized by Universitas Negeri Malang in collaboration with the Association of International Business and Professional Management, AIBPM. Your Excellencies, the Head of Accounting Department, Faculty of Economics, Universitas Negeri Malang, Nur Maharani, the Chief and Founder of AIBPM, Lim Kaisin, Ph.D., the Director of AIBPM, Mrs. Ira Christiana, to all keynote speakers and distinguished guest lecturers, and especially for all participants of today's event. It's our pleasure to be here to lead our today's international webinar in marketing in national BMC competitions. I am Aulia Herdiani on behalf of Universitas Negeri Malang and AIBPM. Appreciate you for taking your busy schedule to join us today, Thursday, 10 September 2020. To conserve global collaborations during the pandemic COVID-19, we invite researchers to present their research results virtually. Today's webinar is designed to discuss the further direction of marketing research for both quantitative and qualitative approaches. Thus, we would like to thank the Association of International Business and Professional Management, AIBPM, for hosting the event, and also to all speakers and panelists to make this morning event possible to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have 3 excellent keynote speakers that will shed light on how to conduct research on marketing in this outbreak. The first speaker will be Dr. Chan Man-hin, or If Chan, from Technological and Higher Education Institute of Hong Kong. Following will be, morning, Doctor. Morning, Dr. Eve. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. And following will be Dr. Ayu Krishna Yuliawati from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Morning, Dr. Ayu.
Morning.
And the last speaker will be Dr. Scott Hipsher from Webster University, Thailand. Morning, Doctor.
Morning.
Hi. Besides, we also have 5 distinguished panelists that will join the discussions. Welcome back, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair from SIES College of Management Studies, India. Morning, Doctor.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah.
Following will be Irfan Hussain Khan, Ph.D. from Government College University, Faisalabad, Pakistan. Morning, Doctor. Dr. Irfan, are you there? Okay, for today we also have Ani Wilujeng Suryani, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia. Good morning, Doctor. Dr. Ani?
Good morning. Good morning from Pakistan. Thank you.
Okay,
yes, I am
morning,
here.
Dr. Irfan. For the fourth panelist will be Dr. Kimberly Scott from Northcentral University from California, United States. Good morning, Dr. Kimberly.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. And the last panelist will be Professor John Walsh from RMIT University, Vietnam. Morning, Professor. Okay, and for the moderator for today's event is an Associate Professor of Marketing at the Fortune Institute of International Business, New Delhi, India, Dr. Sudhir Rana. His fields of expertise, hi, morning, Doctor. And his fields of expertise are in consumer behavior, international marketing, and business educations. Dr. Rana holds MBA and PhD with MHRD scholarship from Government of India and postdoctorate from Putra Business School, University of Putra, Malaysia. Dr. Rana has published numerous papers with Emerald, Taylor and Francis, Sage, Inner Science, and etc. He is the editor of FIIB Business Review, published quarterly by Sage Publications, and Advances in Emerging Markets and Business Operations, published by Routledge, Taylor and Francis. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to inform you that the hard copy is available with request and small contribution. The link will be shared at the end of the webinar, and e-certificate will be ready for 7 days after the program. Before we officially begin our program, we will respectfully listen to our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Thank you, everybody. Without any further ado, we'd like to see a welcome speech video from the Director of AIBPM, Mrs. Ira Christiana.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to be here to open the webinar of the topic, How to Become an Expert of Marketing. We are very grateful to be the host of international conference with Malang State University and working with the awesome conference organizing team who have committed to make this conference happen. They working, spend hours and night, days and night to make this conference happen. Without your commitment, this webinar will not be happen. Special thank you for all committee members, moderators, MC, and keynotes for your supports. The webinar is also forum for international scientists, researchers, and students who in cooperation to understand and share their knowledge and expertise in economy, business, and entrepreneurship. The webinar such as this provide a valuable opportunity for research scientists, industry, specialists, and decision makers to share their expertise and their experience. I am grateful to the many experts who will come to share their knowledge in this conference. So, as behalf of AIBPM, I would like to say thank you for all the keynote speakers, panelists, student members, and I also welcome all the students who will present the business model in this webinar. You have done a great job. I'm sure you will have a fruitful and rewarding exchange in this webinar. I wish you every success with this important conference, and I look forward to learning about the outcome. Thank you very much. On the behalf of AIBPM, Ira Christiana. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we'd like to invite Dr. Satya Nur Maharani, the Head of Accounting Department, Faculty of Economics, Universitas Negeri Malang, to give a special welcome remark.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable speakers, Dr. Chan Manhin, Dr. Ayu Krishna Yuliawati, Dr. Scott Hipsher, Honorable panelists and moderator, Prof. John Walsh, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair, Dr. Irfan Hussain, Ani Wilujeng Suryani, Ph.D, Dr. Kimberly Scott, Dr. Sudhir Rana, and the beautiful and the smart woman, Mrs. Ira Christiana, Mr. Guy Sinlim, and all the AIBPM representative, as well as the participants who have attended this event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who has been giving us a mercy and blessing till we can attend in this moment without any obstacle. I'm delighted to welcome all the speakers, panelists, and moderator, as well as the webinar participants. Today we are grateful to host the international webinar along with AIBPM. Okay, these days we are urged to move rapidly, especially amidst the pandemic that disrupt much of industry. We strive to tackle the change happen after the new normal introduced in many countries. This unexpected transition brings many leaders from wide range of industry to hold discussion in order to prevent the worst and find the best scenario. The new normal challenges this industry to adapt in any ways to settle. As researchers, we are encouraged to reach a transformative approach in actuating more dependable business practice. In this webinar, we will be talking about marketing, how the industry and consumers' communication is built. Marketing is not only about selling and advertising, which has been socially tailored as the only definition of it. It should be understood not in the ancient sense of making sales, but in the modern sense of satisfying customers' needs and wants. Marketing is a persuasive communication which through it We communicate and persuade our customer to choose our product or service over others. It will be ensure organization survival, growth, and reputation. A business becomes resilient due to its ability to maintain competitive advantage and customer loyalty. Particularly during this pandemic, where the worldwide business are severely affected. As the impact are intensified, adequate measures are needed to support the industry during this emergency. Our discussion today is aimed to help the academic fellow as well as the business stakeholders to regain confidence. Despite the inescapable situation we are facing today, we hope that this webinar will be able to accommodate such needs and the desired outcomes. This is all speech that I can deliver. Ideally, what I have said is gainful for us. I am so sorry if I had a mistake. Thank you for your nice attention. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Satya. And before we start the webinar, I'd like to ask you all to turn your camera on. We'll take group pictures. And for the co-host, please kindly to help me to take pictures.
Okay, for everyone, please turn on your camera. We have some page in here and we start from page 1. Okay. Okay, next page. Ready? Page 3. Page 4. Next page. Next, page 6. Next. Page 8. Okay, the last page. Okay, done, Miss Aulia.
Okay, thank you. Here we are now, the time to commence our fruitful and engaging today's international webinar. Thus, I'd like to invite the moderator to take over the session. Dr. Rana, the time is yours.
Thank you, Alia, and thank you so much to Dr. Lee, who is a good friend of mine from AIBPM and the collaborated institution for hosting this webinar. I welcome to all the participants and speakers for the day. As you all know, that issues related to any business practices increasingly occupy a central role in the field of marketing. Recent debates taking all across the globe have identified that the field of marketing has made more emphasis and progress on exploring questions starting from how to bring customer to how to satisfy customers and achieve profitability out of it. Marketing field is a critical crossroad today. Developing theoretical concepts and testing them empirically is the need for our. This totally depends on conceptualizing, measuring, and analyzing the role of marketing practices and concepts. I welcome everyone to today's webinar. I'll moderate the webinar today and conduct the presentations and discussions. The webinar will take approximately 2 hours, and how this is going to be, there would be approximately 10-20 minutes to every speaker. And what we are planning is we are planning to have a question and answer session. So before we move to the presentation, I would like to inform a couple of things to you as a rule for the webinar, that I request all the participants to also panelists to mute themselves during the presentation. As I said, that there will be a question and answer session after the keynote speaker finished the presentation. For panelists and participants, please, you can use raise hand button if you have anything to ask or suggest. You may also write to write it to me in the chat box so that I can put forward your question. Then what I'll do is I'll choose your question and suggest to the appropriate speaker. All the participants and panelists, speakers, you will get a e-certificate from AIBPM in next 7 days. And if you do not get that, you can send them an email on aiBPM.conference@gmail.com. For any further delay, I would like to invite our first keynote speaker, Dr. Chanmanhin Eve. Dr. Eve is an assistant professor from the Technological and Higher Education Institute of Hong Kong. She earned her Ph.D. in fashion and textile marketing and merchandising for textiles and clothing, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University in 2009. In terms of her professional experience, she had served as a global business controller and manager of the international renowned fashion company. I'm sure you must have visited that is H&M. Currently, Dr. Eve is managing several competitive research projects in international trade of fashion and textile, location analysis of production in the Belt and Road Initiative, as well as econometric modeling. I welcome you, Dr. Eve. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Time is yours now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rana. Thank you for your introduction. So now let me share my screen. Okay, so everyone can see the screen now. Okay. So hello, everyone. Today, I would like to give the presentation on how to monitor trending topics on social media and engage with influencer to drive effective marketing goal. So first of all, we would like to talk about the use of data analysis, how to use AI to analyze the data, and then what is the social trend nowadays, as well as how to how to create a key strategy and the challenging of the marketing strategies of today's situation. So first of all, I would like to talk about how to calculate return on influencer marketing activities. Actually, the high ROI of influencer marketing indicates its position of being one of the most powerful form of collecting with a community. Influencer marketing in Malaysia has a high adoption rate in Malaysia, as from the previous brand contest raised state. That means how much you spend for your investment and how much you can return on selecting the correct influencer for your advertising. So in this page, you can see that nowadays they have a new customer journey. It's about the seamless experience from social to social. So from the social media like YouTube, like Facebook, and also IG, from there you can see that the user the user, they like to recommend their experience, how to share their a happy experience, or what they like to what they like to criticize the brand on the forum nowadays, right? So after they share their experience, the potential customer would like to do the research on the website, and then after they compare all the the previous user experience or the recommendation, they will make the final purchase. After they make the purchase, they will like to share their recommendation and experience again in the loop. So that is like a cycle nowadays in the social media. So you can see that the influencer marketing is no longer just finding someone with good look, a beautiful face, or have many fans, or for endorsement. Actually, it's about leveraging intangibly the social influence to engage and create awareness. So this is called the affinity for the brand. That means how you can approach your customer. So from here, you can see that the influencer marketing data is variable because it can help the brand leverage on the insights that affect one potential interest, perceptions, and purchase decision finally. So as a brand, we have to discover the trending topics which associate with the brand itself. And secondly, we have to understand the insights behind the competitor campaign, how you can compete with other brand. Like if I worked in a H&M before, so how Zara is doing, how Forever 21 is doing. So if we know how the customer, how's the competitor are better than us, so we have to adjust our own strategy in order to get back the potential customer to our store. And the other one is how do we find the strategy with storytelling. That means how to attract the customer to see your Facebook, to see your IG or YouTube, and then come to your physical shop to make the purchase. And how you can engage with the audience with different channels. And finally, how you can optimize the ROI. That means you get the celebrity as your influencer. So how you can repost or reuse or retarget in multiple channels for this influencer. And finally, how you can make the customer to do the final purchase in your store or buy your stuff online. So you can see that marketing needs to know that there's around 40% of your customer will be Generation Z by this year. So we would like to talk about how we can use AI power software to analyze the trend behind social media contents and optimize the return for marketing. First of all, you have to spot the hot topic and the customer interest. And the second is how to manage your relationship with your customer and your celebrity. The third thing is to create and engage the high potential customer. The last thing is how to optimize your ROI with limited media budget. So from this example, you can see that we are using AI application can recognize there's more than 200 major categories of topics, behavior, or event. So from this picture, you can see that from the AI software, you can see, okay, they can discover the trending topic, like the picture, we have a spool guy, the model, they show confidence, and there's outdoor, and they have the water like a summer, and they like to go for the boat trip. So for the AI, they can discover the trending topics, attribute, and event from captions and image. And the second thing is they can have the topic research to monitor the discussion about the trending topic, behavior, competitor, and the products in different markets, like catering, like apparels, like textile, like furniture. And the next thing is the AI can build the analysis reports to help and design the best strategy to drive marketing ROI based on customer matrix, like the brand campaign performance, topic analysis, and the political alerts. And the next page is talk about the visual search reports. So AI can study how frequent the specific attributes appear on the media and the influencer page. Like for this, the girl, she wear what kind of clothes and what kind of color and what kind of brand, so that to analyze the behavior, activities, and the scenes. typically when your brand is highly focused on appearance, like in my industry, textile and clothing industry, we like to talk about appearance, right? And the next page is how to find the best list of page with greatest performance and brand affinities. Like if you get a celebrity, how many followers in their IG, or how many social media the celebrity will post on their social media, and what is their performance. And the next page is talk about the in-depth background check to determine if the story can be created, like the influencer power score and the engagement and growth. That means how many followers they will type their comments, they will share the recommendations on the page, so that to attract the other potential customer to read your YouTube, IG, or Facebook. And the other one is to create the campaigns with a comparison, send invitation, and receive quotation. So how AI has been used to deliver a more personalized customer engagement, like they can have a correct target audience, and they can create a dynamic social media to attract your customer, and they can offer you a personalized designs of topic as well. For example, like the clothing recognition. From this page, you can see that brand looking for the look and feel of a certain type of stylings, for the research of upcoming promotions, materials, or model casting. So from the AI picture, you can see that the girls, how they wear during the summertime, shorts or pants, or they use the bags or the accessory. So from there, they can select what kind of model the customer would like to be attracted. So from the next coming promotion material, they will find the similar type of model in order to attract the customer to approach your social media. And the other one, like the object detections, brand looking for influencer, which are active in certain type of activities, like sunglasses, accessory, or something like that. The color detections, brand looking for trending context from influencer, which have a growing range of match and dominant colors for advertising design inspirations, like the earth tone for this summertime. And the puppy is the key challenging on influencer marketing. Like what marketers say about influencer marketing, 80% of marketers find influencer marketing to be an effective strategy. And more than 70% of marketing agree that the quality of customer and traffic from influencer marketing is better than other sources. That means what they share from their website, what is their experience, what is their comments, is much more important than the celebrity to talk, because that is their real experience to share what is the quality of the products. And almost 90% of the marketers say ROI from influencer marketing is comparably or better than other marketing channel. And there's a key consideration of using the correct influencer, like they have to achieve your KPI or how they can long-term improvement. For example, like the Uber case study. What is the analysis and campaign service we have done before? There's the customer analysis on defined topics, influencer selections, and the campaign management across the region. For example, like the content trend analysis and influencer discovery. The challenge, how to identify relevant contents about the traffic issue in multiple Asia region effectively, like in Malaysia, Indonesia, there are so many cars. So how we can reduce people to buy the private car and use the service of Uber. So they would like to raise this Unlock the City campaign on the web. And then you see that there's a 500K data analysis within the 3 different regions. And there's 116 influencers engaged, and there are more than 38 million total reach. That means they have attracted 3.8 million customer, the potential customer, to see their posts. So that this is our potential customer in the future. And there's more than 1 million audience engaged in this game. So you can see that they can widely spread out their news on the social media than the other marketing channel. So what is the most important elements when choosing influencer for business collaboration? The first thing is the social media performance. So that means how many customers engage in your games or in your posts or the content. What is the attractive content to let your customer attractive? And what is the most frequent influencer marketing tactics for brand to use? There's the product reviews. That means how they share their opinions and their feelings of the products they have used before. And the other thing is how they can decide the index KPI for the campaign. The objective and the KPI shall be decided to fit in different stages to align with brand marketing strategy and various activities across the financial years. For example, how they can raise the awareness of the customer from the word of mouth effect for the brand exposure or credibility to the public. That means how your customer share their opinions on the website. And the second thing is how many mentions and audience reach your post. And the third thing is the engagement, like the Uber case. How many comments, shares, interactions, engagement in your post? The Uber one is more than 1 million people engaged in the games and can reach 3.8 million to see your post, right? And the other thing is what is the conversion? Conversion means cost per click. That means after they engage the games, how many people really make the purchase or use your service? So what is the engagement and the goal completion rate? Okay, and the last thing is retention. The first time they maybe because of your game, you attract them to use your service. But how you can retain this customer? Because remaining the old customer is even much more easier than you find a new customer, right? So how you can retain your customer in the future? And the next thing is identify your goal, create a dashboard to attract your customer, evaluate your goal are being met with your KPI, change your strategy if needed to improve your performance. And the last thing is to assess your KPI. Is it still aligned with your goal? If it is not, then you have to adjust them later. And the next thing is the common campaign tactics, like how your celebrity reviews the products and your event, how much coverage they have reached. That means what is the opinions after they attend the games, and whether your influencer will be your ongoing ambassador for throughout the whole year or even the next few years. And the brand mention. Did your influencer mention your name, mention your brand name, mention your message, share the positive opinions and the webs and post on the social media? For example, like this, you can see that how many share update consistence to enhance the engagement, to attract the trend, the fans' attention for something cannot miss out. The instant feedback between the influencer and friends. And the next one is the share their photo, generate more than 21,000 videos views and yearly 200 fans participate in the content, like the Toyota Macau 316 views interaction videos. And the next one is the campaign statistic, like the Discover Hong Kong, the UGC invite international influencer to share their unique experience when visiting Hong Kong, to post their videos, to post their experience when they having dinner, catering in Hong Kong. So we can see that there's a 10K online entrance and 5 million video view, 4.2 million website page view, and 1 million social media engagement. So many people will know Hong Kong, right? And from here, you can see that what is the importance to select a correct influencer. You have to identify the correct target customer group so that you can match the correct content to attract such people. And then you have to design the campaign message to match your KPI in order to let them come to your store to make the purchase. And you have to choose the content type and deliverable, and to manage what time you have to post your event or the news on your website or social media. That is very important thing. For example, like the teenagers, maybe they don't want to sleep, so you have to think about that. What is their habit? How long? What is the frequency they like to get online? For example, they cannot sleep, so they will check their smartphone during the midnight time. So maybe 12 o'clock midnight is a good time to post your event on your social media. So that one is for research. And the other thing is how to optimize the exposures with ads and how to plan for the short-term campaign and the long-term partnership. So you have to understand your own brand and your products, and also to understand the ROI of industry. So you have to do more research and evaluation of your customer, what they want, what they like, what is their review, what is their opinions with your products. And the last thing is you have to shortlist the reserved list of influencer. That means the one who have the big numbers of followers, have a very good performance. You have to keep that influencer in your list in the future. And the last one is the trend and the statistic of social media. So you can see that the social media's landscape nowadays, they're based on the monthly active user of the most common platform. For example, like the IG, Facebook, and the YouTube. From this page, you can see the comparison with this 3 different social media platforms. Facebook, they can reach 2.4 billion users. Instagram, 1 billion. YouTube account for nearly 75% of the internet traffic. 2 billion monthly users. And they have a different characteristic of these 3 different channels. For example, for the Facebook, they're very successful in creating brand awareness and news. And they are commonly used by big brand and the retailer brand. For the IG, 49% of the customer trust on IG influencer recommendations. And they have very successful in product launch and event promotion. And for the YouTube, you can post your video there so that you can, they have the impact of 80% of the forward purchased. There's a very high click of the people who make the final purchase for your brand. And they have received 7 million the watch time than the standard ad. Okay, so to be conclude, the regular social listening based on the visual and the topic analysis to support the customer preference. You have to identify your competitor practice, what you don't have, what they have. You have to adjust your own strategy. And you have to create the influencer mix based on your performance of your brand as well as your ROI. That means how many budget you invest on this particular celebrity, how much you can earn back for your marketing plan. And the other thing is you have to think about making a trendy topics for the campaign content creation so that you can attract more customers to reach your different channel. And you have to keep track on the KPI based on the channel I mean, how many people which engage your games, your posts, your news, and also what is the conversion matrix. That means after they engage, after they read, after they like, after they share, how many people really come to your physical store or purchase your products online and make it become your money in your pocket. And the last thing is the constant monitoring the hidden consumer preference behind what people write, should, post, comments, and they interact through the media channel. For example, if they give you a negative comment, how your customer service can react. Of course, first of all, you have to thank you for your opinions. But after all, how you can follow up with their opinion? How you can adjust, how you can improve your customer service, or how you can improve your products according to their comments. So this is the main challenge in this decade. So this is all for my presentation today. Thank you for your participation. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eve. It was indeed a great presentation, and especially your views about the blend of marketing concept and technology to use AI and influencer make a lot of sense to the marketing practices. Thank you so much. So with this, I would like to invite our second keynote speaker today, Dr. Ayu Krishna. Dr. Ayu Krishna is having 16 years of research, teaching and consulting experience, including community service experience in marketing, tourism, SMEs, and entrepreneurship. She has conducted marketing research and is team leader for the global value chain research for SME in small Iceland 2018 to 20, funded by the national government grant. Team leader for the community civil service funded by university grant in 2019. In 2017, she is awardee of International Trade Center Academy of UNWTA Geneva, Swiss, where she received training in SMEs, global trade, marketing, and so much. Currently, she is on advisory board for local think tank, NGO resilience development initiatives, and concerned with sustainable development issues. Dr. Ayu Krishna, thank you so much for being here, and please deliver your keynote.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sudhir, for the introduction. And also thank you, the distinguished panelists and our keynote speakers. I would like to present my research. Just share screen. Okay, I'll just share. Okay, is it in process? So basically, this research is an ongoing process, and it's has been conducted in the past for 4 years in a small island called the Belitung Island. Can you see the slide? Can everybody see the slide?
Yeah, it is coming up.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, we can see it now.
So,
can you make it slideshow?
So yeah. This is the slideshow. So it's basically marketing. Right now we're conducting as part of the ongoing 4-year research, the business continuity. So marketing is part of the business continuity research. So basically we're looking at what marketing activities are done by MSMEs in the local area. So this is what I'll be presenting, the overview and the impact the COVID-19 crisis on the MSMEs, especially in the small island called the Belitung Island. So, the overview is that MSMEs in Indonesia accounts for 90% of the business, and also 97% of the domestic employment is by the MSMEs, and only about 56% of the investment are channeled to the MSME. So we can see through these figures that MSME play an important role in the economic development of our country. And unfortunately, regarding to the digital platform or the online marketing, only 8 million out of 60 million MSMEs in Indonesia, or only 13%, have joined the digital platform. So this is like an effort to transform our MSMEs to go from the brick and mortar store to the online platform. Okay. So this is our case. We've been studying this island. This is called Belitung Island. Belitung Island is destined to be the new Bali of Indonesia by the national government. And currently Belitung Island is a popular tourism destination. And also this year is going to approach the UNESCO for the international status, for the global geopark international status. So is hopefully because of the international branding of the UNESCO Global Geopark, then more tourism will come to the island. And currently there are more than 500 MSMEs there that join the community called the Pluk and Gallery that cater to the growing tourism industry in the island. But before, Belitung Island is known for its tin mining. So currently the tin mining, many of the mines have closed down in the previous years, and now they are shifting away from the mining industry to the tourism industry. So there's a shifting also livelihood from mining based to tourism based, and these are through the growing numbers of the MSMEs that cater to tourism industry. So really my research is quite simple in here. We've been studying the MSME's development in developing its product and assessing the global value chain, and also internationally marketing this bio product or this product that are locally sourced. And now, due to COVID-19, we are looking at the marketing activities that are conducted by the MSMEs and what are the impact of the COVID-19 to MSMEs and the marketing opportunities and challenges that they face. Because we see prior to the COVID-19 crisis, they also face challenges in marketing their products, and also what are the responses during this pandemic time of the MSMEs to survive and their strategies in the marketing perspective. So, next slide, we'll look at the research. The research is done through the virtual, and before COVID-19, we actually went to was able to visit the MSMEs in the villages. But due to COVID-19, we cannot visit the island anymore, and the island have been closed down in the beginning of the pandemic. So in this study, we designed it in a desk review, key informant interview, focus group, and questionnaire. So it's a mix between virtual and field visits. So for virtual, right now we're going virtual, but we have persons also native to the island that are conducting the surveys there. So it's quite challenging also to conduct this research during the pandemic times because of the uncertainty that we're facing. And in here, this is last year, we've been able to publish in the international conference about sorry, this is jumping the slides, about the product, so-called geoproducts. So let me tell you, geoproducts are local-based product based on the geological diversity the area has, and also cultural diversity and the biodiversity. So these products are locally sourced, locally made by the rural community, and they are branded as called the geoproducts. So most of the products in Belitung Islands, they are food products and also handicraft products, and most are made for the tourism market. But some of the products like pepper are well known in the international market, and they have been exported. And also coffee, there's a well-known coffee brand also located in Belitung Island, and is also have been exported outside of the island. So MSMEs have been trying to compete for them to try to market these local product into the international market prior to the pandemic. So the pandemic, what happened to these local MSMEs? Well, they've been making these products, the batiks. The batiks are made based on the local motifs of the local plants, the local animals, and the local culture and colors, and they are based by plant-based dyes, so they're safe for the environment. And there's also products of handicraft like jewelry, and here are some handicraft from local coconut leaves and etc. or local plants, and also some handicraft pottery, because Belitung also have some good clay sources that was developed by the rural community into products to sell to the tourism market as souvenirs. But really, we, according to the World Economic Forum Supply Chain and Transport Survey in 2011, we know that there is a risk that we will experience a global pandemic, about 11%. But we haven't taken this risk seriously, and then this pandemic happened. So what does the MSMEs do during this COVID era? What marketing are challenges do they face? This is Nia Eurostia. She is a chili producer, and she makes sambal chili sauce that is also for the consumption of the tourism market. This is called the tourist souvenir. But due to COVID-19, the prices of production rise because she's difficult to get some local packaging, because the island was shut down for a while, and she saw some difficulty because tourists didn't come to the island when it shut down. So she had to go to online marketing to try to sell these products outside the island using online marketing. So it presents challenges because she's living in the rural areas and also have a limited infrastructure, meaning of the digital infrastructure. So this is what happened to the MSMEs. They have we have a shutdown, we have a home isolation, the small island was shut down, no tourists coming, logistics are there, but very limited to necessities. Supply chain has disrupted, the demand of the current consumer customer was limited. And then hopefully in future the MSMEs can recover. So this is a study by the National Ministry of MSMEs, and it shows that 46% of the food industry and the creative industry are impacted by COVID-19. And these are where the MSMEs in the small island of tourism operate. So the impact is really devastated to the community in the small island. They have we conducted several FGD in the form of online webinar to talk to them and also to help them promote their products. And in here they talk about their difficulties and the impact of of COVID-19 on their daily operation of their business. And in here, because there's no tourists, 80% of sales have fallen. So you can imagine all the stock that still remains because there's no tourists coming to the brick and mortar store. And Target, as I said before, they used to cater to the tourists that come to the island, but now the target is very limited to the local island. And in here, and raw material rises, difficult to do operational activities, and about 40% of the MSMEs have to shut down, not permanently, but shut down temporarily during some period of time. But to be precise, 47% of the MSME closed their business temporarily due to the COVID-19 condition. And they have about 33% have difficulty in obtaining aid from the government and also from financial institutions. So they're really facing these challenges. And in here, the MSMEs also see that consumer are changing their behavior. They're buying more online, and they're seeking for more healthy product, wellness product with good agricultural process, and also they're looking that consumers are not paying using digital money, and this brick mortar store is often now closed, and more online, and home cooking, urban farming, healthy lifestyle, and staycation is the trend of the consumer behavior now in Indonesia. And some of the SMEs in the rural area, like this one from the Chendil village, they adapt to this change. They see that consumers want a healthy product to sustain their healthiness and their wellness during this pandemic. So they made this traditional jamu, or traditional herbal medicine, herbal not medicine but herbal drink that hopefully can enhance the stamina and the immune system of the consumer. So they made this in the village, and they pack it well, and they have branding and everything. And in here, they have they have gone to online using different kind of platform. Right now, they're just using the Instagram platform. Before, they were just selling these to the tourists that came into the village. So this is what happened. This is the response. Disaster come. The MSME think what to do, how to recover, and how to adapt, because there's no tourists coming. So they have to go online, and they have to do it quickly, and they have to make a product that can be sold outside of the island. So there's a packaging, there's new product materials, there's new product to be designed, and they try to understand what is happening and how long will this be happening. Currently, Belitung Island is open, so there are tourists coming in, but not as much as before. So there is still some business, and ongoing tourism is still happening. Okay, and these are they're adapting to the safety and health protocol issued by the government in developing their product and services. So they're packaging the product, making sure that it's safe to deliver to the customer. And this is one of the product of the village. Is a kind of a lemon syrup, lemon orange syrup, and it used to be a souvenir taken by the tourists, but now can be sold online. And this is also the digital marketing. Some of the handicraft, the batik, the handmade bags, they're sold on the online platform, and the batik is on a display also in Singapore. So there's MSMEs that eventually made it to the outside of Indonesia, to the international market, and there are some which is more MSMEs that are more advanced in the island, but there are also some MSMEs in the rural area that doesn't have the branding, doesn't have the platform online opportunity to go or market abroad. And this is some activities, virtual online activities that we have conducted. The universities, local community, the geopark management, and also the tourism agency of the government in Belitung, in order to promote these products like this tea, this local tea, flavory, and the batik, and etc., to a market outside of the island. So they're all virtual event activities promoting, and this is also part of our research on how the MSMEs can market their product during this pandemic. And in the FGD that we have conducted, we also have recommended them to do some co-creations with the local stakeholder and also the customer collaboration with the buyer outside of the Belitung Island, reseller in the outside of the Belitung Island, and also agency outside the Belitung Island, and to engage more in customer engaging through the social media, collaborative marketing, meaning that they work together, these small SMEs work together to market the product, and also to the communities outside of Belitung that is willing to help them market the product, and going online, making an online experience for their customer in the marketing their products. But this is still a working process, as I said before. There are only few MSMEs that are advanced, knowledgeable in the online, and there are some MSMEs are still very traditional and have difficulty. So this is a research that has been published last year in the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism and Leisure, and we found that the coffee from the local village that is sold in the local coffee shop has some fans of the coffee community. So the coffee community is spread around the Indonesian archipelago, and this can be an asset for the MSME to market this product to local community that have preference on coffee, because Belitung has a special coffee that tastes very different than other coffees in the other areas. So this is one of our research that we try to promote the local products. Okay, the next slide. Okay, and also the handicraft is also the same. We found that most of the handicraft are locally sourced, and so using local materials, but still the capacity of the people still need to be developed, or the MSMEs to organize their marketing efforts, their marketing plan still needs help from the stakeholders involved, meaning academic, business, CSR from large companies. So my takeaway is that MSME play a key role in small island community in economic development of the area. And now they're on survival mode to try to adapt to meet the consumer needs and demand. And they're transforming digital marketing online, and they're trying to do co-creation, they're trying to collaborate, and this is still, as I said, ongoing process. And hopefully by promoting the MSMEs in small island through this webinar, maybe the government and other stakeholders will take in to help these MSMEs in small islands. And I think that's all I have to present. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer. And if you think of questions later on, please just contact me through my email or my online. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you, Dr. Ayu. It was indeed a very good presentation. I totally agree with you. MSMEs are a backbone of any society, and I believe not only at the local level, at any advanced economy, multinational has been supported by SMEs. SMEs plays a very vital role in the economic as well as social development of any nation. So it was indeed a good presentation. Now I would like to invite Dr. Scott Hipsher. Dr. Hipsher is an American professor and academic who lectures, writes, and publishes in strategic areas, examining development and other issues primarily in the Asian region. Dr. Hipsher has experience working as a racehorse trainer throughout the US and Canada, and a member of US Navy as a manager of an INGO, and was the area manager of an export company in Thailand. He is on the ground full-time in Asia as a senior faculty member with Webster University's MBA program in Thailand. and he lectured, presented, or taught courses online and offline internationally at various institutions. Dr. Hipsher, thank you so much for being here with us, and desk is all yours now.
Hey, thank you. It's great to be here. I really have enjoyed it, the presentation so far. I wish we could be in person again and maybe hopefully into the future. I need to maybe clarify. I'm not a marketing expert. I don't do research particularly in marketing or limited to marketing, often in many other areas. So my presentation is going to be a little more general in some ways, but it does apply to marketing as well, particularly marketing research. So often when I do reviews, I get lots and lots of quantitative studies to review. I personally do a lot of dissertation advising for students doing qualitative researches. Myself, I've done both. So obviously, things are changing in the world right now. And when we do research, we often take in a snapshot in time. Right? When we do the research, we get the data at that time. But things with the pandemic is changing so fast. But so I want to talk a little bit about the use of qualitative research, particularly in marketing. When we accept one research philosophy, it doesn't mean we reject the other or others, right? Often it's very good for us to get information from a wide variety of sources to help us understand very complex problems. For example, qualitative research can often help us understand things in a more contextual manner as opposed to a aggregate manner, which we do a lot of quantitative stuff. So neither one is better. Neither quantitative nor qualitative studies should be considered superior to the other, but we often should think that they complement each other, and the different designs are used to suit different purposes. Okay, quantitative studies, we know that it's built on the idea of positivism. That kind of means there is a real world out there, which there is, I guess. The quantitative research methodology often came from the natural sciences, where they were measuring things like gravity and real natural phenomena. However, a lot of our social sciences, we look at things that are social constructs. So constructivism is knowledge is constructed by humans and human interactions. Scientific method, we form and test hypotheses, often with quantitative research. But where do our hypotheses come from? They don't just come out of the air. Data is important, and we want to get data and test it, but data without theory can be as misleading often as can theory without data. And often the qualitative research helps us develop our theories, which are then often measured using quantitative methods. Okay, in social sciences, we often measure social constructs. Social construct is a phenomenon, something that does not exist in reality. It only exists in our minds. It exists because humans agree that it exists. For example, the nation state. There is no such thing in reality. Go out in space, look down, you don't see countries, you see the earth. But obviously it's a very important construct. It's in our mind. Religion, race, ethnic identity, leadership, love, money. As we're getting into more marketing things, brand names. Brand names don't exist in reality. What makes a brand name? It exists because we agree as people that they exist. Ethics and research philosophies. Like I said, there is qualitative and quantitative research. The differences exist in our minds. That's a social construct itself. Harari, in his very famous book in 2014, he really believed that the development of social constructs, the belief of things that do not exist in the physical world was a major turning point in human evolution. Only when we started believing in things like, the nation state and things bigger than we can see and feel did we really start developing modern human societies. Okay. Quantitative research, again, grows out of the positive tradition of measuring natural phenomena, gravity, movement of the stars, other things. It tends to take a deductive approach. But can social constructs be measured accurately in the same way as can natural phenomena? How do we brand preference, for example? Is that easy to measure? We can measure it, but it's constantly changing always, and it's very contextual. It may, in a point in time, what do we really mean? What are we really measuring quite often? So natural phenomena is often thought of as following unchanging universal laws. Gravity is gravity. It's there forever. But social constructs are in a constant state of flux, both within individuals and with societies. We certainly have seen this with the COVID-19 situation. For things like, customer satisfaction, it may mean something very different today during the pandemic than it meant prior to that. Safety, convenience, other things may be becoming much more important to us than they were in the past. Value, when the value of things, the brand value we get from things may have been more important when we're out in public. It may be less important when we're at home. When our income goes up or income goes down, these things are going to be in constant flux. They're never going to be static. Can we measure social constructs using quantitative methods? Of course we can, and we have lots of good examples of those. Hofstede's Dimensions of Culture, I find, is a really useful framework that we often use, and that was created using quantitative methods. But, again, Hofstede very famously said cultures do not exist, the way values do not exist. They are useful for us to use these constructs, to use the idea of culture, because it helps us explain and predict behavior, but it does not actually exist. The moment these constructs, these ideas stop being useful to us, we should drop them and do something different. Recently, I did some research, quantitative, on job satisfaction. Again, we can measure job satisfaction in a comparative manner, but how well are we really measuring it? How accurate are we measuring it? Again, Gert Hofstede was has been very adamant on use of his own frameworks. And hey, it's only a rule of thumb. It gives you a general guideline. Don't think of it as being the absolute truth, and don't think that these measurements are perfect or measure everything about culture. They certainly do not. In marketing, the goal of research is often primary to measure the study of consumer perceptions of value of a product or approach. And perception of value is a social construct. It differs from person to person. It differs from time to time. Again, doesn't mean we cannot use quantitative methods, but it doesn't mean quantitative methods are the only way. And we should understand the limitations of using quantitative methods in measuring any type of social construct. Again, these things don't exist in real life. They exist in our minds. Using quantitative methods can be very useful to marketing research and other research, but it's not the only way to get information. So some of the functions of marketing, of course, is providing information to consumers, creating demand for the product, changing preferences, and again, adding value. But adding value is going to mean different things, obviously, at different times. For example, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, most of the home deliveries, the value added was in convenience, right, saving time. But when the COVID-19 panic hit, home deliveries also added value by being safer, kept us from going out in public, and so on. People perceive it differently. Product categories, brands, wants and needs, preferences, and value are all social constructs. We can measure them, but can we measure them completely accurately? Probably not. And when we measure them at a specific point in time, does not mean that we're going to measure them in a universal manner. You know, what we measured last week may not be the same as what we measure this week. Hopefully in the natural sciences, you know, the temperature that water freezes will be the same next week as it is this week, and it will be a week in the future. Natural sciences are quite different. You know, they're trying to measure something that a natural phenomenon is very constant in many ways. So the quantitative method works very, very well in measuring things that are constant, do not necessarily change over time. But social constructs obviously change all the time, both in locations and within individuals. Okay, you know, all these things are important to business, you know, in marketing. Thinking about product categories, complements, substitutes, brands, individual wants and needs, our preferences, our preferences for brands, for product categories, from the national origin of products, all these things are social constructs. Okay, so when we use qualitative, and often in business we tend to use a lot of case study research, but there's others as well. It tends to be more inductive. Inductive means deductive research, we start with a theory and then we test it. Inductive, we start with the data and then we look at what does the data tell us. We don't start with predetermined categories. Our testing, does this answer apply or not? We look at it from a more exploratory standpoint. So you start looking at the data and what does the data tell us? And like you said, quite often this is used to formulate research questions or hypotheses, which are later quantitatively studied. Qualitative data often gives us something a lot more contextual. Like I said, when we do quantitative, we tend to get aggregate. We can say something like, well, you know, 55% of the companies do this. Well, why do the other 45 not do that? I mean, should the other 45 do it because the majority do, or is there maybe contextual reasons why? So we can often look at, you know, in business particularly, we know there's so many different paths to success. There's no one path. And same in marketing, different companies follow different strategies, use different practices. What works in this situation and not in that situation? Sometimes qualitative research can give us ideas about that. We really look at the context a lot more. Quite often when we're doing quantitative research, we tend to try to remove the context out of the situation and look at only the variables we're studying. Say, well, this variable is correlated with that, you know, outcome per se. But why? You know, qualitative studies often answer those how and why questions as well. It's interactive. We often go together. And it's often used in applied research as well, as opposed to, you know, quantitative research. Again, your results, your data, your ideas often driven by the participants and the data. And often used, you know, we use it to study singular phenomena that we can't measure in a quantitative measure because there's not you know, quantitative, there's not multiple things to study. And we're studying history, we're studying a specific point in time. It only happened once, so we can't really measure it quantitatively. And you know, a business as well, there's one business. Yes, they're in an industry. Yes, they make, you know, a certain product category, all these things, but each individual business is somewhat unique as well. We can't just, you know, say, look at, you know, Microsoft or Google and say, well, every company should do the same thing. Well, no, a lot of times when we do that quantitative study, we can look at the, you know, the timing of different things and why it worked and why, you know, it may not work at a different time. So again, not better, not worse. One of the big issues and question I was asked, you know, to bring up the idea of quality and academic rigor, or rigor in qualitative research. Good point. And that's a big criticism of qualitative research. It can be extremely subjective. How do we know it's true? And one of the major issues in all academic research is most of our research is not used by actually practitioners. Businesses don't read our actually, you know, our research quite often does not influence actual business behavior, actual business practices. And that's, what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide information that can be used, but often it is not. And that's often, I think, because it is not contextual. It's very broad. They say, well, yeah, that's true on average, but doesn't necessarily apply to us in our location, in our strategy, in our conditions, our history, everything else. Quality. How do we measure quality? Quality or usefulness is very difficult to measure. We often know usefulness is really the measure of quality, if you will. It's not necessarily accuracy. Things do not always have to be perfectly accurate to be useful. We go back in history, people thought the world was flat and pretended it was flat, but still using that idea, they could navigate around the world based on certain navigation tools. It was useful even though it was inaccurate. We see many of these things as well, like I was mentioned, Hofstede's dimensions of culture. They can be very useful to us, but on the other hand, even Hofstede spent his whole life developing these scales. Well, he'd be the first one to claim they're not necessarily perfectly accurate. They're just general. They don't really measure everything, but they can be useful to us to help us understand. So a lot of times it's not the accuracy that is nearly as important as the usefulness of our results. Again, when we use a real rigorous methodology, very statistically rigorous, but how about the quality of the data we have? When we're measuring social constructs, culture, human feelings, brand preferences, value, customer satisfaction. These are all very imprecise, changing, and abstract. So we're putting the data in there that's very abstract that we really don't know. I mean, is this really customer satisfaction? When we can easily do surveys, right? A lot of research is that we give out surveys, but of course, what people report on the survey, does it really reflect their behavior? Sometimes yes, sometimes less so. So, is it really important that we use really rigorous statistical techniques to measure data that's imprecise? So our techniques are precise, but our data is not necessarily precise. So, again, I'm not saying qualitative is better, but often gives us different information that can complement the data we get when we use quantitative research. There's a lot of limitations, obviously, in qualitative and case study research, and obviously very subjective analysis. That can be good, cannot be bad, or can be bad. But we tend to think that subjective analysis, it's really up to the person reading the research to decide whether this research is good or bad or other things. Obviously, we all have personal biases. We see the world through our own perspective, our own lens, where we come from, what culture we come from, what social background we come from, all these things. Yes, a lot of times it's lack of generalization and transferability. So results that, like I said, very contextual. It may fit this particular company in this particular location, but from an academic standpoint, that might not tell us very much from another company. Like I said, we could study the history of Apple computers and see, wow, that's really fascinating, but it doesn't mean we can do the same thing today. So often, we can't necessarily replicate it. It can be very difficult to evaluate, right? Very difficult to evaluate the data itself. And of course, from an academic standpoint, it can be very difficult to get published, so for in academia and trying to get published to, get advanced in our career and stuff, many editors obviously don't like qualitative research and will reject it out of hand. Others will not. So, that's certainly a difficult. It can be very time consuming, and it usually requires primary data collection. And, like times with COVID-19, it's very different, right? We can't just sit in our offices, download data, and, put it in a statistical software package, and boom, here we got results. Qualitative research usually means going out and talking to people and gathering, information directly, which of course we can do it through Zoom and all these other virtual platforms we have these days, but often it does require more primary data collection, which can be much more time consuming and more difficult, you know, because you got to get people to agree. Statistical analysis, often we can just use what's available. We can't necessarily do that with qualitative research. And just, I'm going through this very quick because they asked me to be quick. So different does not require to be evaluated as better or worse. Like I said, I've done both. Qualitative is not better than quantitative in any ways. But the different types of research give us a deeper understanding of the topic we are researching. When we're trying to figure things out, getting a multiple viewpoint is often helpful. So if we get we get some qualitative studies to read, we get some quantitative studies to read, I think it does, it gives a better overall picture than only reading, you know, a dozen quantitative studies and no questions, no studies that trying to explain how or why. They only explain what. I think we get a deeper understanding if we have both. Again, we can use qualitative studies often to create hypotheses that are tested quantitatively. So, you know, they're not necessarily opposing. A lot of times they complement each other. Yeah, and a lot of times qualitative research helps us explain the results. You know, why? We find, you know, people like this type of advertisement, or find customer satisfaction this way or that way. And a lot of times you go and ask why. I know university I was working at, we did research on the perception of our graduates by employers. We were finding employers were actually hiring our graduates quite a bit. You know, that's quantitatively, but then we had to really go and sit and talk to them and ask why, and to really figure out what these results mean. What are we really doing right? We knew we were doing something right, but what was it? And what, you know, maybe what areas could we do better on without the qualitative aspects? You know, because we didn't really even know what questions to ask per se. So we had to get in there and do interviews and, you know, ask questions and get feedback and new ideas. So qualitative research can often help us explain the results of the quantitative. It can often, you know, what approach depends on the context we're doing. What is the research questions we're making? But in all choices, whether you do quantitative research has lots of limitations as well. I cut that out of today's presentation because it's for time purposes, but there's plenty of limitations when we do quantitative, and there's plenty of limitations when we do qualitative. All research, no one research project is going to give us all the answers to any complex problem that we're facing. And companies are facing many complex problems today in marketing and other aspects, trying to survive, trying to thrive during this very, very difficult time. And one study is not going to answer that question, but each one can provide some information for us. So we should understand and acknowledge the limitations of any study we do and any studies we read. So, yeah, that's my presentation for today. So I'm hoping people that would normally only think that you have to do quantitative studies at least consider that there is other options. And some of these other options can be very, very interesting when you're doing research, particularly young researchers. Think about other possible ways of doing things. So thank you very much for paying attention and inviting me and letting me talk to you. And if you'd like to contact me, you know, read some of my research or collaborate in the future or anything else, here's my email address. So I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scott Hipsher. I really enjoyed listening to your presentation. I was totally deep into it, and something that I really liked in your presentation was your philosophy. We often hear that management and marketing domains are interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary. And the point on the philosophy that you have highlighted was really good in the presentation. And it because when we think that whether it should be interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary, especially the marketing research, because it involves philosophies, it involves culture, sociology, psychology, economics, and many more domains. So choosing your methodology become very important, and a blend or mix of methods really make more sense to scholars. And I'm sure that young scholars from must have learned a lot from all the three presentations. Thank you so much to all the keynote speakers. And now we are moving on to the second part of this webinar. And I would like to invite first Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair to have a question and discussion for the panel. And something about Dr. Rajesh Kumar is Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair is a PhD in Commerce and Management. Is having experience of more than 2.5 decades in corporate and academics. He has been a consultant to various SMEs, consulting them in marketing, sales promotion, sales training activities, and much more. He has also published various papers in international academic journals of repute and presented himself at various conference forums. Welcome, Dr. Nair. Now I hand over the mic to you.
Good morning, everyone. It was nice to hear, the perspective from all these international keynote speakers about marketing. As we all know, marketing is a big challenge for all of us now in whatever parts of the globe we are, primarily because of this, unprecedented times which we all are facing, the times of pandemic. At that time, when we are facing such a situation, it's so important for all of us to look into our existing processes and maybe come out with new processes. So, wonderful thought which was presented by all the keynote speakers. My question is to Dr. Scott. He was mentioning about qualitative research, and this is one area where, many of the faculty would like to contribute, but they do not know really how to go about it, because quantitative typically for a faculty or maybe a researcher typically is a very simple, very much clear-cut process compared to a qualitative process, So my question to Dr. Scott is whether should we look into emerging areas, for qualitative research? That is my question. And how does one go about choosing a topic for qualitative research?
Great question. I think there is some cultural differences. When I do some work in Nepal as well, and I go to a conference in Nepal, it's like 98% quantitative. In America, though, students seem to like qualitative a bit more. At a PhD level, most students actually prefer qualitative. I guess they're scared of statistics or something. But it's a difficult question. It kind of depends on your personality. You're right. Quite often, your advisors, research advisors, the editors of the journals prefer quantitative. And so from an academic standpoint, it often pushes people into going into quantitative research. The top journals rarely publish qualitative studies, but there's plenty of places that will publish qualitative studies, and there's ways of doing it for sure. Everyone gives a lot, it's easy to give advice, hard to often follow it. What topics to study is follow your own interest. But I think you're very right that often emerging topics, things that are just coming out right now. I mean, things like with COVID-19 situation, things are happening so fast right now. Can we really collect data? And the data we collect now is, I'm thinking economics, but others as well, is probably going to be outdated 2 months from now. So a lot of times we're looking at things to explore, and think many experts on this would say qualitative research often want to explore understudied phenomena, things that are not well understood, and therefore, look for things that that's not really, already got 20 or 30 studies on. Something that's kind of new, something that's kind of unique, and often very, very contextual. You can really look at your specific context, and often can be, very useful to us.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Thanks a lot. And thank you, AIBPM staff. And thank you, Dr. Sudhir, Rana, and all the keynote speakers for your wonderful insights on the topic. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nair. Now, I would like to invite the second panelist, Dr. Irfan Hussain Khan. Irfan Hussain Khan is health economist and researcher at Bahauddin Zakaria University, Multan, Pakistan. He is also a part of editorial board member of several international journals. Welcome, Dr. Irfan Hussain Khan. I welcome.
Hello, thank you, AIBPM, and thank you all the keynote speakers for such a wonderful webinar sessions in COVID-19 days. I have two questions. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. Irfan, thank you.
My first question with Dr. Evichen, that did a very wonderful job regarding the digital marketing in Iraq. My question with Dr. Evichen, that you have seen that developed countries having a strong digital marketing channel system all around the world. But like our developing countries and like in Asian countries and in a least developing country like African countries, developed countries having a strong skills in marketing, they are penetrating the marketing systems of least developing countries and underdeveloping countries. There are also brainstorming the cultural heritage of the developing countries. What is a digital marketing technique can adopted by the developing country to avoid brainstormings and the negative externalities of the marketing from a developed country sides? What you suggest to the developing countries and the least developing countries to avoid brainstormings and digital marketing from negative aspect from the developed sides? What you think? Hello?
Yeah. Dr. Eve?
Yes.
Doctor.
Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you for your questions. I think during this particular time, there is the challenging time for all of us. So digital marketing is even more important compared to the previous decade. So that's why when I present my topic, I feel that the international company like my previous one, H&M, that is they are challenging to find out who is the right person. That means the celebrity or who is the influencer to represent their company, how they can attract their own potential customer or remaining customer. That means the old customer to buy something online or come to their store. Previously, they will invest lot of money. Like previously, H&M will invest money on inviting the spokesperson like Madonna to be their celebrity in 2000 when they come to Hong Kong. But nowadays, you see that they are also changing their marketing strategy to find out the user which they have the experience to share on the web. Why? Because there is the real experience for the people who have used their products. So the potential customer will feel that this is more reliable than only getting the spokesperson to trust on.
Yes, got it. Thanks. Mike, another question with Dr. Scott Hipsher. Dr. Scott Hipsher having a very wonderful topic regarding qualitative and quantitative research that is totally directly related with the academic sessions like any subjects of sociology, economics, management sciences, and it's a very popular in the research culture. But that's Doctor, what you suggest in a business culture, in a business marketing culture, what you suggest that is either qualitative research is better than quantitative or quantitative is more than the qualitative? Because in a micro level, I suggested at a micro level, qualitative research is more convenient and more helpful than quantitative. But on their broader spectrum and on in a higher, broader wage, I will suggest quantitative research because it is difficult to observe behavior or collect a response from a large spectrum. What you suggested, is it a qualitative research or quantitative research for a business tools for a business perspective?
Thank you very much for the question, answer at all for this, at least from my perspective. It really depends on what you're trying to study. If you're looking at things like strategy or organizational culture or things like that, if you're doing it within a single company, I think a lot of times qualitative will work better. If you're looking at things like production techniques or distribution, then even some sales, then a quantitative approach often will be more appropriate. You want to kind of match your methodology with what you're trying to do. Like you said, if you do strategy, there's no one way of doing strategy. I mean, all companies do it differently. Companies have different organizational cultures. And a lot of times if you do qualitative, you start with the data. You go say, what do we got here? And then you compare it with the theories
that have very curing during like a pandemic condition. That is a very crucial to collect a qualitative response from a community side. It is very difficult to collect a data from in a pandemic situation. It is another thing to data quantitative things, quantitative data from published data to conduct a research for a result purpose.
I mean, that's one of the downsides of qualitative data. Always, like I said, quantitative, you can just download statistics and do the analysis. It's less time consuming. And with modern software packages and stuff, it's pretty easy. You don't even have to understand statistics; just throw the numbers in the package, and it does it for you. Qualitative, you have to go out and collect the data, which, like you said, right now it may be difficult. Kind of depends on the situation, where you're at. But we're getting more used to this online communications like we're doing today. So maybe we'll find ways of doing it better, even during this pandemic situation. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Scott, Dr. Eve, and Dr. Irfan. Now, moving on, we have Dr. Annie Wilujeng Suryani. She is from Universities Negeri, Malang. Dr. Annie has been an accounting lecturer of Universities Negeri, Malang, Indonesia since 2006. She earned her PhD in accounting in 2017 from University of South Australia. Concerning on the shortage of accounting profession, Dr. Annie is now a team member of the internal academic quality assurance in her university. She also have conducted several research projects through research grants, one of which is on enterprise resource planning with the La Rochelle Business School, France. Dr. Annie's research interests are on accounting, education, finance, and financial literacy. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Annie. Now I pass on the mic to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sudhir. So I would like to ask question to Dr. Eve as well as Dr. Scott. So Dr. Eve has explained the use of artificial intelligence in analyzing text and pictures to discover trends in social media. I think it also opens opportunities for use similar method for academic research. So I would like to ask, probably you can give like a best practice of how text and pictures can be used in qualitative research. This also relates to Dr. Scott's explanation about qualitative research. So I want to know how we ensure the rigor in qualitative research in our research article so that it is internationally acceptable and it's quite rigor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your questions. Actually, some of my colleagues, they are using the AI to find out thousands of pictures to see how they can have the better body shape for the Asian woman in their research for the AI. That is the sizing issue. But for me, I have just published a paper in sustainability. I'm also using AI, but I'm using AI in the big data. Like I'm using AI to predict the textile and clothing export value to US in the coming years. So that is the other way of using AI in prediction for the export value. But for your questions, I learned from my colleagues. He is using different sizing for the Asian people and also European people and African people. And then they will, from the picture, they will gather the information, the shape, and also the as well as the size, and in order to see what is the similarity and also the difference between different countries. And then they put in the AI software to see how they can make the accurate sizing issue of intimates as well as the sportwear. Thank you for your question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eve and Dr. Annie. Now we have Dr. Kimberly Scott. Dr. Scott is a business management researcher, author, and a subject matter expert, programmatic evaluator. She has taught undergraduate, graduate, and graduate level courses across many disciplines encompassing international business, business administration, and healthcare management. She's currently the president of Delta Mu Delta International Owned Society in Business at Rector University. Kimberly's research interest included both business and healthcare fields. Thank you so much, Dr. Kimberly Scott. Now I hand over the mic to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhir. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I think all of the keynote speakers have done a wonderful job presenting their research. So great information shared here today. My question is for Dr. Krishna, excuse me. As noted, only 8 million out of 60 million SMEs in Indonesia have joined the digital platform. Just hearing that, it just is mind-blowing. And especially with what's going on with the pandemic today, I'm wondering if you have found the SMEs being more receptive to the supporting the marketing, the digital marketing platform now more than ever, in terms of making sure that their products are still being sold. And also for the island, the Belitung island entrepreneurs, did you find that they are actually more receptive to changing their way of marketing now that they're experiencing the pandemic and also tourism issues?
Okay, thank you for your question, Dr. Kimberly Scott. Well, right now the government is initializing a program to increase the MSMEs adoption of technology using the digital platform. and also in the island of Belitung, although they have internet connections, but as I said before, okay, as I said before, the MSMEs are still trying to cope and adapt, moving from brick mortar to the digital online platform. But yes, they are more receptive now, and they see now that online marketing is a priority for them to survive in order to market their product outside of the islands. So there are programs conducted by the local communities, the local consultant of the MSMEs, and also the government to put them in a platform together and help them through training in digital marketing. And that. And can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, I can.
Sorry.
Yes.
So it's a process. There's a process, and not out of the 500, not all MSMEs can join the digital platform, but they're obviously going there because the introduction of mobile device in Indonesia is high, and so they're using this mobile phone to market the products. That's why they're using a social media marketing, social media such as Instagram, such as Twitter, and Facebook to market their product. But as I said before, the rural communities, especially the older generation, now rely on their younger generation to help market the product. So they're more receptive now. Thank you for your question.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Kimberly and to you, Dr. Ayu. So now, what I could find from the webinar is it has been a complete package that our first keynote speaker has advised you that how you're going to explore the new trends, new topics, new concepts, and how you're going to use technology, especially the artificial intelligence, in exploring the new trends. Then you had the implementation ground at how small and medium enterprises are doing well and strengthening the society as well as economy and community as a whole, not only at the domestic level, but also attracting people from the outside world. So thank you, Ayu, for that presentation. Then we had Professor Scott on having knowledge about and thinking about the methodological part on qualitative and quantitative. So in a way, if I lightly look at it and conceptually too, it is like that first you identify the concept. When you identify the concept, you conduct a method and implement it. So that is how I'm looking at the whole webinar as one good package to earn 3 of these. On behalf of AIBPM, I would like to thank to all the participants, to all the keynote speakers and panelists for putting their beautiful questions and making us think on whatever has been discussed. I hope you have gained a lot and you're going to enjoy this. Have a wonderful day ahead. With this, I say thanks and close the webinar and moderation from my side. Dear AIBPM team, do you have anything to say?
No, Dr. Rana. Thank you for now.
Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your time. Keep on attending the knowledge gaining events, thought-provoking sessions and discussions, and keep on implementing those. My best wishes to all of you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rana. And this is the end of the webinar session. Hopefully you get all necessary, fruitful, and engaging breakthrough knowledge on March. Ladies and gentlemen, shortly we will proceed to the next sessions, national presentation video from all BMC participants as well as presentation sessions from the finalists. The video and presentation will be in Bahasa. All participants are allowed to stay if they'd like to stay or to leave if they have something else to do. On behalf of Universitas Negeri Malang and AIBPM, we would like to say thank you to all the keynote speakers, panelists, moderator, juries, participants, and especially to committees of today's program. If you still have questions regarding the topic and presentations today, please don't hesitate to comment to our webinar YouTube channel, and the link has been put in the chat room. I am Aulia Herdiani. See you and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Sudhir, Rana. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Thank you, everyone. See you.
Thank you to the AIBPM team. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.